Hi, I'm John Lester, Chief Learning Officer at Reaction Grid, and today I'm going to give you a demo of a new product that we have, a new system that you can add to a Jibe Virtual World. And that system is called ACES. Now, what exactly is ACES? Here are the 5 main points. ACES is a system that adds user-modifiable display boards to a Jibe world. Any image on the web can be projected onto any display board, and boards can be configured to open any URL in a new browser window. And the contents of these display boards can be changed in situ, and by that I mean within the live published Jibe world, with no work required in the Unity editor. So you don't have to edit the world in Unity and then upload your changes. You can do this live while you're logged in. And any changes that you make are immediately reflected in the virtual world. And if other users are logged into the world while you're making the changes, they see the changes immediately. All ACES boards can be changed in world by any user who has logged in with an account that has administrative level access. And this is something that you can set yourself from a very simple web menu. That means you can assign certain people in your Jibe world to have this power to be able to go and change the images on boards and to change the URLs that are attached to the boards. The other option you have is you can set up some display boards so that they can be configured by any user who claims it. And a user, once they claim a board as their own, then they can have full control over changing the image on it and changing the URLs. Now this would be very useful, for example, if you were creating, say, like a student poster session where you wanted students to log into the virtual world, claim a blank, unused ACES board, and then customize it however they wanted. So, put any image they want on the display board and add any URLs that they want as well. And the last point is these ACES display boards don't have to look like boards. They don't have to be rectangular boards sitting in your virtual world, in a way that they just look like poster boards. You could use the ACES system to set up the ability to change image textures of any 3D object that you want in the 3D environment. And that means you could use the ACES display system to allow you to dynamically change storefronts, buildings, surfaces, any surface in your Jibe world. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to walk through a demo. Now, this demo is available to everyone, so you can go right now and try this demo out. And the URL for the demo is here. And there are 2 accounts that you'll be able to log in as. One is ACES admin, so this is the administrative user who can basically change any board in the virtual world. So this is the person you could assign to have control over every board in the environment. And then this is a demo user. This would be a regular user, someone that you would want to log in and maybe claim one board, but you don't want them to be able to change other people's boards, just the board that they claimed. And what we're going to do for this demonstration is we're going to log in as the demo user first, and I'll walk you through the demo. And then remember, you'll be able to go back at any point in time and try this demo out yourself. So we're going to log in as username demo user and password demo. And I'm going to show you exactly how ACES works. So let's load the demo world here. Now I actually had already logged in as a demo user, so it's just relogging me in as that. And we'll wait for the world to load. It's a pretty small environment, so it shouldn't take very long for you to load. And we come to the area where you can choose your avatar, whoever you want to be, if you want to customize your outfit as well, whatever you would like. I'm going to log in as me because this looks like me. When you log in as demo user, you want to change your nickname. If somebody else is already logged in, it'll say that name is taken. Just change whatever nickname you want. I'm going to say John. But remember, you're logged in. That's your nickname that's displayed in World, but you're logged in using the account demo user. So I'm going to log in here. And you can see this little demonstration area that I've set up. There's some ambient sounds, and there's some crows flying around. They land every once in a while. And you can see here are 3 blank boards. And you can see hovering over each of them is free. The word free. We've set these ACES boards up so that they are of the type that you could have any user come in and claim them. and modify them. So let's go over to, like, say, the first board over here. And when I walk up to the board, that bird just landed on it. If I click on the board, it gives me a number of options. I can choose what name do I want to have displayed hovering over the board, so I'm just going to leave it as John. The board title, I'm going to call this demo title, and you can see in real time the text appears hovering over the board. And image URL, this is where you get to select a link to any image on the web that you want to paste onto this surface, which is right now just plywood. So let's go to a search here. I'm going to search for dachshund because I like dachshunds. And we're just going to do an image search. So here are lots of pictures of dachshund. Now let's just pick one that we really like. Like, let's say this image. I really like this image here. And you can see here's a URL directly to that image. And I'm just going to copy it and go back into my Jibe World and paste this in the field where it says image URL. Just paste it in there. And I'm going to click Next. Now this is where you get to choose up to 3 different URLs to load. So this means when people come to your board, they will see up to, maybe they'll see no buttons if you don't have any URLs. And actually, let me show you what that looks like. So if I click Finish, you can see my picture is now live in the world, and you see the name John and the title up there. But if I come back to my board, I can click on Edit. I can go back, and I'm going to add a URL. So I'm going to add, let's see, I'm going to add CNN.com. I'm going to click Finish. Now you'll see that there's a little cloud button. The cloud button tells you that there's a URL that you can open. And if you click this, it opens up that URL in a new window. Now, this is an example, I think, of the power of having a virtual world like Jibe in a browser, because it means you can leverage all kinds of content on the web. Maybe I want to have this, have a URL that opens up a Wikipedia entry about dachshunds, and then I want to have a URL that maybe opens up my Flickr feed that has all my pictures of that I've taken of Samantha, who's my pet dachshund. If I go back and I add like another URL, I could say, let me add just Google. I'll add Google and click Finish, and now you'll see a second button has appeared. And if I click the second button, it opens up Google. Okay. And as well, I can go back in here and say, the third URL, and I will have that be Wikipedia. And if I click the third URL, it opens up Wikipedia. If I could spell Wikipedia. Wikidpedia, not quite, but you get the idea. And if at any point in time I come in here and I want to remove one of these URLs, if I want to delete the second one and I click Finish, then you see that button disappears. So this means you can give people the ability to update content in the virtual world live. If there were somebody else in here standing next to me watching me do this to the board, they would see the buttons appearing and disappearing and everything changing in real time. And if I leave this virtual world, this is persistent, of course. This remains until I change it or I edit it. Likewise, I can also, at any point in time when I come into this environment, I always have the ability to edit the board that I have claimed. And I also have the ability to just say, if I click on Clear Board, then I'm actually giving the board up, right? So I'm basically saying anyone else can claim this board now. When you're setting up these boards, you can change things like, can only one student claim one board, or what if you want to allow students to claim more than one board? That's just a simple variable that you can set. But you can see here, I'll come in and I'll claim this board again, and I'll click here, and John, board title, test, title, image URL. We'll put the dachshund back here. I'll just copy that image URL, and I'm going to just put up one button to CNN.com. And there we go. See. So you can see how this can be very powerful if you want to create a virtual world where people are changing content within the virtual world. Now, what I'm going to show you next is what things look like when you're logged in as an admin, and I'm going to show you some more examples of different boards. So if you want to come in and try this demo, only this first environment here will allow you to claim a board and change it. If you go to the next environment, you'll need to be an admin to make changes. But just play around with it. You can't break anything. Don't worry about it. So I'm going to click Log Out here. And I'm going to log in again, but this time I'm going to log in as ACES admin. So this is somebody who can change anything in the environment. Right. So here we go. ACES admin. And the password is PASSWORD. And I'm going to log in here again. And the world is loading. And you can see I'm logged in as an ACES admin. Again, come up here and change this so that it's your name or whatever nickname you want to use. That way, if more than one person is logged in as an admin, you won't have a problem with both of you having the same nickname. I'll keep the same avatar. Now I'm logged in as an admin, and I have a special button here called admin. In any scene where there are ACES boards, if you are logged in as an admin, with this one button you can see all of the boards and make changes to all of the boards. And you can see a little thumbnail showing you the image. So for example, I see ACES board number 1, there's nothing displayed on it. ACES, this one here, you can see that's the one I just edited when I logged in as John. I can go in here and edit this myself. You know, if I want to come in here and change the image, like maybe I want to change this to a different picture of a dachshund, like this one. Copy that URL. I'll come over here and I'll paste that. I'll change that URL. And I'll leave everything else the same. Just click Finish. And you see it just immediately changed to the other dog. So as admin, you can go in and clean up everything. You can clear all of the boards if you want. Whatever you want to do. Now let's go on a little trip, because I want to show you some other ACES boards and give you some ideas of how powerful they can be when you use them in your Jibe world. So we're going to just walk over here to this little portal that I set up. There's a crow on the ground. I love those crows. I'm just going to walk through the portal and go to the next scene. Now here you can see I am in a medieval kind of environment, right? I'm going to walk over to this area over here, and you can see there are some signs hanging out outside the building here. Here's one. Looks like a smith. Now I can that's actually an ACES board. I can actually open admin, and I can see here there's a sign. You see where it says ACES sign 1. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put I'm just going to edit that sign, and I'm going to, just for fun, I'm going to put that dachshund pic there, and I'm going to put one URL. I'm going to say, make this again, cnn.com, just because it's quick to type in, and I'm going to click Finish. Now you can see the picture has been stuck up there, and there's a button now that appears that says Click Me. You see, there's a Click Me button here, which when I click on, opens up CNN. So this is to show you how, the boards don't have to look like standard boards, and the buttons don't have to look like clouds. They could look like whatever object you want to make them. You just make those changes when you're deploying the ACES boards, which you have to do in the Unity editor, of course, and you can just map them to different types of objects. So you can see here I've changed the sign to to the dachshund running. So let's get a little crazy, and let's look at other examples of things that you could use ACES for in your build. So we're going to go inside this room, and one thing is obvious. It's like, well, a rug is it's just a texture, right? What if I don't like the rug? Well, I could come over to admin here, and I could edit this rug, and just click Finish here, and now there's my new rug. But one of the most powerful things you can think about in terms of how to use ACES is the fact that 99% of what makes a 3D environment look realistic and look amazing are the textures, right? It's all about the quality of the textures that people have used to map onto the 3D surfaces. The 3D geometry is important, but the textures, if you have amazing textures, things will just be even more amazing. So imagine how you could use ACES to allow people to modify different areas in the 3D environment in radical ways. So for example, this bookshelf, if I click Open Admin, this bookshelf, there's the opportunity to put a texture over that bookshelf. Now what if we wanted to change the bookshelf? Right? So let's go back to our image searching here and just search for bookshelf. Click click on images. And like here's a modern bookshelf. There are two pictures of modern bookshelves. This one's really high res, but we can still use it. If we open this image up, here's a modern bookshelf. I'm just going to copy that image URL and go back to the Jibe world. Now, if I click Open Admin and I edit this bookshelf and put the image over that, and I'm not going to use any links. Look at that. Now, it's a good image. The quality of this image is high. It's also a little bit too high res. If you're going to do this yourself, I would recommend you maybe use upload an image to Flickr and then link directly to it of a lower resolution, because this is really overkill. But look at how 3D realistic that looks. I mean, I think that's a really powerful way that you could customize your 3D environment just using textures, right? Because again, the real power of a 3D environment is fully realized when you spend a lot of attention on textures. Right? So let's go to the third and last area that I'm going to show you. A very different area, so we've gone from a tropical island to a medieval space. So let's see what's up next. Well, what's up next is a modern city. And it's a little blustery. I see it's like snowing a little bit. I set it up in here, so it's a little blustery looking. So imagine you had a city scene and you wanted to change not just like a bookshelf, but you could change an entire storefront. For example, here's this kiosk, right? If I click Open Admin, I can see, oh, look at all these different boards. Oh, here's something called ACES kiosk. Well, guess what? If I go to that ACES board and I change the kiosk to say like the bookshelf, and I'm not going to put a URL. I don't want to use any buttons for this. You can see now I've put books in front of the kiosk, right? The reason that it looks very bright is just because the image itself is a very bright image. You'd want it, when you want to do this yourself, you may want to edit some of the textures of your own and reduce the brightness a little bit so they don't look so bright in a relatively dim environment like this. Because the city it's a little bit, it's not super bright here right now. But imagine something like this storefront. So here's a storefront. This is just a 2D image that I've got applied to this surface here. This is just a 2D image. So you could set something like this up as an ACES board, and you could make it so that you actually are able to change the storefronts on your entire street just by using the ACES system. So let's find a storefront image back on our image search. And notice I like DuckDuckGo as my search engine. If you are looking for an alternative to Google, I would highly encourage checking out DuckDuckGo. But let's search for storefront and just look for some images. And we're just going to use a test image. Here's a great one of an old ale house, right? Now, open this image, and here's the URL to that image, and I'm just going to use that URL and come in here, and I'm going to change my little restaurant here, and I'm going to find the storefront. Here it is. Here's one of the storefronts, and I'm going to edit this storefront. So now it's an ale house. And you can see how powerful it is just changing textures. You can radically change the entire 3D environment just by changing textures. And of course that means too that you could and also you can configure an ACES board too, so that instead of displaying a button, you could set it up so that it's a collider that opens a URL. So you could set it up so that when your avatar walks, tries to enter the storefront, it actually opens up a custom URL that maybe opens up, this alehouse's website or something in another web page. So you can set up those URL buttons to be either things that you click on or things that you collide with. So we're going to walk down here to this building, and you can also, again, this building is actually a building that was created by a user in Second Life named Arcadia Asylum, and she's been around Second Life for many years, and she releases all of her work as Creative Commons public domain attribution only. And so she's an amazing texture artist. You know, this wall here is just a flat wall. The 3D-ness of this wall, the thing that makes it look really realistic in a 3D kind of way, is all about good texture design. So, you know, imagine giving people the opportunity to, you know, through the ACES system, to be able to replace textures like that. So you could come to this store here. I think it's the building. Let's see. Oh, I think it is this one. Yeah, ACES building. And if I replace this with, well, that's not going to be a good image. It's just going to look terrible. But if I do something like, let me search for, I don't know, brick wall, and just find an image. Oops, an image of a brick wall, like this one. Is fine. Any image. You know, take this brick wall, copy that image, and I come back here. I'm going to change the wall of the building with just one click. Look at that. Boom. Doesn't look half as good as the original. But also, if you walk into this bodega market, this is one of my favorite creations by Arcadia Asylum in Second Life. If you walk in here, she migrated all of her content to OpenSim actually too, and that's how I got this model to pull into Unity. You could imagine like all these surfaces are things that you could set up as an ACES board and change the content. So for example, if you wanted to change, you know, the things on sale here to something a little bit more healthy, you could go to the admin here. And this is the ACES board that controls that. You could click on this and edit it, and you could use. I have this loaded over here. You know, some fruit, pictures of fruit, like in a fruit stand. I could copy that URL. I could come back here, and paste that in here, and now you could go from having all this kind of junky food for sale and Oreos to having wonderful fruit for sale. So you can see how you can use the ACES system in a very creative way to create a very dynamic environment that is highly customizable, and this is all being able to be accomplished within the virtual world itself. You don't have to log out of the virtual world and use the Unity editor to make all of these changes. So feel free to come into this demonstration area and explore and play around with these different boards. In all the examples I showed you, I was showing you, going to a search engine and just finding URLs for images and applying them. And you can have a lot of fun and do a lot of really cool stuff like that if you like. But if you want to create your own images, customize your own images, maybe do things like clean up images or create your own images from scratch, I would highly recommend using, a service like Flickr, which allows you to free service that allows you to upload images and then basically just get a direct URL to your image so that you could embed it in the same way that I just showed you. But I like using Flickr. I've been using it for years. So again, this is a system that we are going to be providing as a new product that you can add to to your Jibe world. We don't have it on the store yet. We're still getting it all written up and plugged into our Shopify system. But in the meantime, if you have any questions or you want more information about pricing and installation, because part of the product includes us working with you to help you get your boards set up, and in fact we actually include with the system, we'll set up 50 boards for you in your Jibe world to get you started. And then, of course, there's no limit to the number of boards you can set up in your own environment. But in the meantime, if you have any additional questions, please email me at pathfinder@reactiongrid.com. And that is the end of the demo. Please feel free to log in and play around with the system, and have a great day. Take care.